Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down big ideas. Today, we're diving into a theory that asks us to rethink, well, pretty much everything we thought we knew about the universe, starting from the very beginning. Okay, let's just jump right in. The story we all know, the one we learned in school, is about a cosmic explosion. But what if the origin of everything was quieter, more fundamental, and maybe, just maybe, a whole lot simpler? You can picture it, right? This infinitely dense, scorching hot point just erupting, creating space and time in one violent, cataclysmic event. It's a powerful image, for sure, but it also comes with a lot of weird paradoxes and infinities that physicists have to kind of dance around. So this explainer is all about a radical alternative called single-point theory. And the core idea is this. What if the universe isn't the result of a one-and-gun explosion, but is instead being continuously generated by the cyclical motion of one single, infinitesimally small point? Now, to even begin to wrap our heads around this, we have to go back to basics. We have to completely redefine our most fundamental concepts, the very ideas of one and zero. If we're going to build a new story for reality, we first need a new language. So look at this shift in thinking. We usually think of one as a solid thing, right? A single, indivisible brick. But this theory suggests that one is more like a whirlpool in a river. It's a stable pattern that we all agree to call a single thing, even though the water that makes it up is constantly changing. So one isn't a permanent object, it's a persistent pattern. And this is brilliant because it helps answer that classic question. How small can something be before it's insignificant? The old view says, well, it can be zero, absolute nothing. But single-point theory argues that a true void is impossible. Zero is just the point where our instruments can't see any further. It's where we stop mistaking our own ignorance for actual emptiness. So here's the crucial point. If one is just a stable pattern, and zero is just a limit on what we can see, then an object isn't a solid thing at all. It's an event. It's a recurring, self-reinforcing pattern that happens so consistently that we mistake it for a permanent chunk of reality. This all naturally leads us to a pretty big question, doesn't it? If there are no permanent objects, then what is the universe actually made of? What is happening here? The theory proposes that reality isn't some static stage where things happen. Reality is the happening. Think of it like a movie being rendered at an unbelievable speed, where the motion of that single point generates each and every new frame of existence. And this is the frame rate, the Planck frequency. That's the number of times per second, a 1 followed by 43 zeros, that the entire state of existence gets updated by the cycle of that single point. So it's not an explosion that happened once, it's a refresh that's happening right now, and now, and now. In this view, time and space aren't the containers the universe sits in. They are properties that emerge from the process itself. Time is simply the count of the frames ticking by. And space is just the map of all the differences between the patterns within each frame. The single point doesn't move in space. Its motion creates space. Okay, this all leads to a very fair question. If reality is refreshing trillions upon trillions of times per second, why doesn't everything just dissolve into a blur? Why do I seem solid? Why does the chair you're sitting on seem solid? The answer is a concept called persistence. While the universe is constantly updating, some patterns, remember that whirlpool in the river, are so stable and recur so reliably that they appear to be solid, unchanging objects. The water in that wave is always new, but the wave's shape persists. Matter, in this view, is just an incredibly stable recurrence. So you see, everything we experience, from the ticking of a clock to the geometry of a room, from the solidity of matter to the laws that govern it, it all emerges from this single underlying process. The laws of physics aren't carved in stone. They are the reliable, self-reinforcing rules that describe how these patterns behave and interact, cycle after cycle after cycle. So, what does this all mean for how we understand our place in the cosmos? Well, it requires a pretty profound shift in perspective. By replacing absolute nothingness with an observational horizon and permanent objects with persistent patterns, this story elegantly sidesteps so many paradoxes. For instance, the universe doesn't have to be actually infinite, a completed static object that just goes on forever.
Instead, it can be an apparently infinite process, one that is always generating, always unfolding, without a defined end.
And this is really the key takeaway. It's just a beautiful shift in perspective. Reality isn't a collection of objects sitting in some cosmic warehouse. It's a symphony. It's a song being performed, with recurring notes and harmonies and a persistent rhythm, creating the rich structure we all observe. And that leaves us with a final thought to ponder. We ourselves are just persistent patterns inside this grand process. So if the universe is this ongoing composition, it forces us to ask, what parts of the song are beyond our ability to perceive? And what new patterns have yet to emerge?